Good day and welcome to the call. Today we're going to be talking about the numbers of our business. And so, just like any other game or sport you've ever played, you probably want to know the rules. You probably want to set expectations, know if I do X, what's Y, what is the outcome. And so, to give you a leg up, to give you an advantage, to help you win early and often and ongoing in your career here, it's nice to set expectations early on up front, just so you know what we're dealing with, what it's going to take. And again, it doesn't have to be all or nothing right up front. We can ease into this. But just to give you an example, just to kind of set some expectation about what are some of the numbers, if we're wanting to do this either part-time or full, it's great to know what are the numbers of our business. And so this is more designed for our grand opening talk, which will be probably at a later time in your training schedule. But I think it's important to address some of it right now. And so the numbers of our business are simply this, that, and especially if we're starting, you want to start with your natural market, your warm market, not necessarily acquaintances, not necessarily strangers or social media that are they're friends on your social media, but you've never met them or talked to them. That's all wonderful, and we've got great strategies for that as well. But in the meantime, the numbers I'm talking about today are specific to people that we know, people that are in our market, people that are in our sphere of influence. And typically, these are people that were at our wedding, people that are at our birthdays, people we go to church with, people we go to lunch with, maybe people at our workplace, family members. But this is people that we know and interact with on a semi-regular basis, not strangers for sure. And so if you have a grand opening and you're letting people know, hey, I'm now in this industry, I want you to take a look at what I'm doing. May not be for you, but you may know someone who may be interested in someone we should be talking to. If you invite 100 people to take a look at what it is you're doing, out of those 100 people, 60 will say yes. Now, does that mean that the 40 that said no, does that mean that they are not interested? Or does that mean that it's not for them? No, absolutely not. It could just mean that the timing may not be right. They may be traveling, and so they can't meet with you for another couple of weeks. They may have just gone through a medical situation. They need a week or two to, recover or or maybe their kids got sick, and so they just need a little bit extra time, and just they're not able to meet right this minute, but they do want to meet. And so just remember that. So of the 60 that say yes, on the day and time that you are scheduled to meet with them, 30 will actually show. And so let me pause again there. Does that mean that the 30, and again, these are people we know in our sphere of influence, does that mean that the 30 that didn't show, that are they lousy friends? Are they lousy family members? No, absolutely not. It could just mean that maybe in the Zoom era, they're in a different time zone and they had it on their calendar wrong. It could just mean that maybe they had to stay an extra hour or two at work and it was unforeseeable. Maybe they had their car broken into, or their car broke down, or their kid got sick. And so there's a whole bunch of reasons of why someone may not have shown up at the time and date that we had scheduled them. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. And we're going to come back to those in just a minute. So out of 100 invitations, 60 will say yes, 30 will show on the day and time as scheduled. 10 of those 30 will become clients, and we'll end up also with 5 business partners. So out of 100 invites, 60 will say yes, 30 will show. You'll end up with 10 clients and 5 business partners. Now, from the 30 that no showed, if we will follow up with them appropriately, like we talked about, hey, I understand you couldn't make it the day and time, maybe schedules conflicted, maybe we're in the wrong time zone, no problem. Actually still need to meet, help me with my training. And so out of those 30, if you will follow up with those 30 properly and appropriately, out of the 30 that no showed the first time, we'll end up again with 10 additional clients and 5 additional business partners. So out of a properly promoted, followed up with invitation system and machine or grand opening, out of doing it properly, if we follow the system correctly, out of 100 invitations, we will end up with 20 clients and 5 business partners and an untold number of referrals. I didn't even put that in here. But so if we will do those numbers, that means 20 clients, 10 business partners. And how does that translate into income for you? So our average client, our average piece of business, when we help a client, generates about 3,000 points or $3,000 worth of brokerage fees to the agency. So if we've got 20 clients times 3,000 points per client, that's about 60,000 points in total. But now if you're brand new, even if you're licensed, you may not be in a position to run all of these appointments on your own, or maybe just busy, or you've still got a full-time job. And so this is just something part-time. So maybe you're splitting everything. Somebody else is running these appointments for you, and which is great because they get half because they did all the work. You get half because it was your client. So if you're an associate, that's our first promotion from a training associate to associate. If you're an associate with us, out of those 30,000 points, you would end up with over $10,000, $10,500 in income just from properly inviting, meeting with, following up with, promoting, going over all of this done correctly. That will generate a little over 10 grand in income right away. Now, if you're a senior associate, not just an associate, that generates 13,500 in compensation in a very quick amount of time. So imagine if in the next month or two, in the next 30 to 60 days, you invited 100 people, 60 said yes, 30 showed, and then you meet with the other 30. It's less than a person a day. It's less than 1 meeting per day. And your job expects you to show up 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or whatever your hours are. Your job expects you to show up 5-6 days a week for many, many hours of the day, and they're not going to pay you 10 to 13 grand a month. Here, we're asking for maybe 1 meeting a day or less, and that will generate then $10,000 a month or $13,000 a month. And again, that's at our first contract promotion or second promotion. And then another thing to consider when you're looking at this as an associate, if that generates 10,500 in compensation divided by 100 referrals, or I'm sorry, 100 invitations, that's $105 per invite. So whether they showed up or not, or did anything or not, just for the mere fact of inviting, just imagine in your mind that every invitation equates to $105 for every invitation. And so if you knew that, hey, I'm going to make $105 for every person that I invite, regardless of if they show up or not, how many people would you invite? Would you invite the bare minimum, or would you invite as many as possible? And so again, this is just a round number, a way to look at the numbers of our business, how to generate more income. And again, this is just on personal production. And in a later advanced compensation video, we'll go over those compensation for those that do want to build an agency and what that looks like and how exciting that can be. So hopefully this all made sense to you. Get with your SMD, your CFT to start with your soft grand opening and then build into your grand opening. And let's see what heights we can reach with your business. Take care.